Can I play?
No.
Please.
No.
Why not?
Because this is a game for boys. Ah. Why don't you just play this game?
Ah!
So my video is going to be primarily focused on gaming and gender assumptions in gaming. I think that a lot of what we learned, especially in regards to like toys being manufactured or being produced, or even being focused on a certain gender, you know, toys for boys and toys for girls and whatnot that we learned early on in the semester, really correlated a lot with the gaming empire, the video gaming world. And I wanted to touch on three specific topics. One, games being designed or being targeted towards boys versus being targeted towards girls. The online gaming world, and that kind of being a newer, I shouldn't say newer so much, it's been like 20 years since online gaming's been around, but like online gaming and how sexist and how gender assumptions come into play in specific gaming universes or communities online. And then thirdly, to talk about a character that Nintendo's created that I personally had a connection with from me when I was growing up, and it kind of was a breakthrough character as far as gender assumptions are concerned. So enjoy the video. Online communities can be really dangerous when it comes to gaming and gender discrimination. There are so many different harassment situations and even sexual assault that have come on verbally over the internet or even worse. So that is something that really needs to be addressed and really is a target of a lot of information online. I looked up a few different articles here. The New York Times had a really interesting article about dozens of women in gaming speaking out about sexism and harassment. Since gaming in general is becoming more of a socially acceptable pastime for people, you're seeing all sorts of different people from all sorts of different walks of life being a part of the community. And so when gaming, online gaming specifically, had been generally targeted towards young male, male gender for so many years, seeing it now becoming more widely acceptable for other genders is kind of been a crash course in learning for a lot of people. And so either people are learning just to deal with harassment online, and they're dealing with the constant ridicule and the constant evil of some people online and just dealing with it and getting used to it, or people are standing up and speaking up for themselves. And honestly, it's a really good thing when people can stand up and speak for themselves in the gaming industry, and it's getting better, but at the same time, it's also getting worse. Twitch streamers, if you're a female, Twitch streamers, if you have any gender associated with you outside of just a male, generally are the target of a lot of discrimination and harassment, and it's rough, especially when money is concerned. It can be really awful, but I'd suggest reading up on the articles that I linked in my sources, the New York Times, as well as the New Yorker, TheGuardian.com, the video game industry finally reckoning with sexism. Interesting reads.
Hey, Rosie, how much for a picture of your big toe? Okay, she got leave. Just getting some weirder and weirder.
What is it with you guys on Rainbow Six asking for my toes?
Taken from our text, Assigned Life with Gender. What people think they're saying, people are so self-important nowadays that they think the world has to cater to their sensitivities. What they're actually saying, it's okay for the world to cater to their sensitivities of some people, but this group of people doesn't count. The English language normalizes and validates heterosexuality, whiteness, maleness, and ability so ubiquitously that people forget that it refies these things. The foundation of English language was built by white men, and its continued evolution has been barely directed by the same group of people. In other words, what looks like catering to marginalized people is actually decentering a white male perspective of humankind. I think the words in this text really work well with the topic of the conversation being the gaming community and what is owed, or what behaviors are owed to certain genders in gaming. Especially in the text when it reads, "It's true that you don't owe the entire world a certain level of comfort, and you most certainly don't need to manage your life around whether or not a person might be offended by the things you do or say. But if you think that that's the point of things like trigger warnings or not making rape jokes, you're mistaken. Making the decision not to promote language that harms a large group of people, like victims of violence, is not particularly hard, compulsory, or overly cautious. It is, however, a nice thing to do that costs you nothing." The Quantic Foundry did a really interesting article about research that they did in specific styles of games that target specific genders. Everything from farm and family simulation to casual puzzle games, atmospheric exploration type games, high fantasy, massive online games, RPGs, stuff like that generally seemed to be more played by female or any gender not associated with direct cis male. Whereas like sports, tactical shooters, racing game first-person shooters, strategies, and turn-based strategies or open-world games were more or less targeted towards male gamers. It's really interesting to read up more on this as well. I guess like in general, when I look at this chart, sports games, percentage of games in each genre that a female would not be interested in playing, I can't think of very many sports games that are generally associated with female sports though either. So it's a possibility that if a WNBA game came out, or like women's soccer, or a type of game like that, it would generate more interest in females. But I don't know, there are none. There aren't games like that are being made right now. So it seems like males, cis males, are definitely, at least according to this research, are definitely more into sports games than girls are. And that takes us all the way back to the 1980s, when Nintendo, almost on accident, made one of the most revolutionary game characters of all time, Samus Aran. Samus starred in a game called Metroid that was released on the Famicom in Japan, and of course the Nintendo Entertainment System in America. This little game was an awesome alien-style game, lost in the caverns of space, destroying billions and millions of alien monsters. And at the end of the game, you found out that the main character, the character that you'd been playing with, the protagonist of the entire game, was female. And honestly, it didn't really matter. It didn't change the aspect of the game in any way. And I think that was one of the most brilliant and awesome gaming experiences of my life. I absolutely loved that game. I thought it was amazing. It was a blast to play through. And at the end, when you found out it was a girl, you're just like, and this is me as a kid, just like, cool. The original Metroid wasn't important because it had a female protagonist. It was important because it made having a female protagonist not be the forefront of the game. It wasn't the main story. The story never once revolved around the character being female. It just so happened that the character was female. And by the end of the game, after hours and hours of playing the game, going through it, trying to figure out all the puzzles, trying to destroy every single alien monster trying to destroy you, you found out that it was a female protagonist. And that was the most important gaming experience, or if not one of the most important gaming experiences of my life.
You know what? He's right. Not this game is for boys or girls. It's for everybody.
Then why?
Every single video game is for everybody.
Then why is it just 2-player? And then
Here you go. Here you go.
And then
Anita, here.
why?
Anita, this is the Anita, look. This is the jump button. That's the kick button. And I don't know what this one is. Nothing. So that one's the kick, jump. That one's the jump. Okay? And that's how you move.